Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining and welcome back to Wall Street Silver. Joining us today is my good friend Rafi Farber from the Endgame Investor. Rafi, it's great to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yeah, it's such a pleasure having you come back to Wall Street Silver. And, I wanted to get you on to talk about all the excitement in the silver and gold markets. My first question to you, Rafi, is like, what trends are currently shaping the global demand for silver, and where are we going from now, for the silver metal?
The trends are not something I follow in terms of industrial silver demand. Um, Maybe this is not an answer you would get from a lot of your guests, but I'm not an industrial silver guy. What happens for silver as an industrial commodity, I couldn't care less. I mean, I care a little bit because
Right.
I own silver and it's in my account, and like I like when the price goes up. And obviously, if there's higher industrial demand, then there's a bigger dollar number in my brokerage account, and I can imagine that I can afford more things, and it makes me feel better. But really, it's all nothing. It's like you don't need to, it doesn't really matter to me that much. And the reason why is that, look, when you picture industrial silver demand, and I don't deny that silver is an industrial commodity, but what I am following, and the reason why silver goes from, let's say, what was it, $6 in 1978 to $50 in 1980, right? It's
Right.
not suddenly that industrial demand for silver just picked up, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's
That was
true.
that had nothing, that had almost nothing to do with it. It had something to do with it, maybe like 2, 3%. And the reason that silver goes from what was it, ten bucks in 2008 to or was it even less, to $50 in 2011, also not industrial demand, not at all.
Right.
It's what it is that it's hard for people to even understand it because nobody goes around with silver coins anymore and trades them for stuff because we use dollars.
Right.
But what causes silver to do that is a sudden lack of confidence that dollars work anymore. And what do I mean by that? Well, the reason that a dollar works, it's not, and this is one of the main things that I try to dispel on my channel on the Endgame Investor. The channel is actually Rafi Farber. I didn't have the name when I started the channel, or I just wasn't thinking. Whatever. My channel is Rafi Farber, my name. So you can check it out there. Uh, so one of the biggest myths that I try to dispel is that money is not like a spontaneous agreement between people to use XYZ as a money, and they sign a contract, or they're in a big stadium and they say, "Oh, we're going to use this and it's going to be money, and then we're going to be able to trade." It never happened. There's no such thing as spontaneous agreement or mass agreement between people.
Right.
Only two people can agree on something at one time, right? It just happens to be that more people agree around to what the exchange value for a money is, because the commodity happens to be more liquid than other commodities, right?
Hmm.
When if you and I make a trade based on silver, like I give you silver coins, you give me that chair, right, or whatever it is, and the reason I'm doing that is because I
There's about $15 trillion worth of physical gold in the world sitting there costing money rather than being used is just absolutely insane. Monetary Metals is bringing gold back into the financial world, putting gold to productive use right now. The problem with gold, of course, in physical form is that it's heavy, it's cumbersome, it's not particularly easy to ship, and it costs money to store in a protected manner. This platform Monetary Metals created is a proven concept and allows gold to be put to productive use, so that instead of sitting there costing you money, it's actually in use earning you money.
Learn how you can earn 2 to 5% in our leasing program and how accredited investors can earn up to 12% on silver paid in silver. This advertisement is not investment or financial advice. Minimum investment applies.
can assume that other people will agree to around that price, to the exchange value, something liquid in
Right.
that area, right? So that's why people use silver as money. The reason that we don't use it directly is because something came in the middle of it, and that's called a dollar. And then banks took the silver, gave us the dollars, and we ended up trading the derivatives of it. But the thing is, what makes silver move from 5 to 50 in a matter of months is that those derivatives are no longer trusted. And people say this not academically. It's not. This is not how the thought process goes. They don't say, "Well, I don't think that my dollar derivatives are going to buy silver anymore. Therefore, I'm not going to use the silver." It's just it's an instinct that when the derivative dies, the public will not go to gold, right?
Right.
Before silver goes to the moonshot or whatever it's going to be, let's say whatever the dollar amount is, it's going to be a 15-to-1 ratio. Before that happens, you
Hmm.
start seeing the banks worry, and the banks don't stack silver. They don't have the room for it. There's no reason for them to do it. They stack gold. Banks stack gold,
Right.
right? So you'll see gold move higher and higher and higher, and then silver will be dragged along with it reluctantly. And then all of a sudden, the public wakes up, and the public, they're not banks, right? And they can't afford gold because by then gold is too expensive. So they say, you know what? I can't deal with these dollars anymore. They're dying, and I keep and they're not maintaining their purchasing power. I got to get something that maintains purchasing power. So they buy anything.
Wow.
But the first thing that they want is silver because that's the thing that is the most liquid in that environment. So that's really what I'm waiting for, the 15-to-1 ratio when the public realizes that this isn't working anymore and I got to get something to hold my purchasing power. Otherwise, I'm going to lose everything.
Wow, you absolutely know. And it feels like we're getting so close to that time in like where we're living in society right now, where the US dollar, the Canadian, no matter where you are in the world, you're seeing inflation keep on rising. But yeah, that's you absolutely nailed it, Rafi. I feel like it's coming real close to that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we can't like it's it can seem melodramatic to say any day now, and I don't literally think it's going to be any day. But then again, I look at the news. There's certain accounts on Telegram and Twitter that I follow, including this one called the Defender Dome.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's OSINT Defender on Twitter, and he's tracking the backdoor meetings between America and Israel about Iran and what's going to happen. And I just got word from him that a few minutes ago that the response is going to be more significant than people think. And
Jeez.
if theoretically Iran were to respond to that by bombing the oil ports of Azerbaijan and the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, which they don't want to say it, these countries don't want to look like they're allies to Israel, but they'd much rather be friendly with Israel than friendly with Iran
Right.
because they know that we're not that Israel is not going to cause them problems if they just leave us alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
Um,
you're right.
so if Iran does respond that way and the price of oil goes to like $250 a barrel in a week, which could happen if that something like that happens, what's going to happen to silver? What's going to happen to gold? What's going to happen to the dollar? I don't even know, but it
Yeah.
really could. Something like that could happen tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'm not
absolutely.
predicting it, but that's the kind of world we're in, and you have to be ready for it. And then if it does happen, it's not like you're going to be able to like buy a junk bag of silver coins the next day and it'll be delivered to you within 2 weeks. It's going to
No.
take maybe 5, 6 months or
Yeah.
more. You're not
And
going to
what
have it.
and what happens to a point where we come to that, like let's say that does happen theoretically, and you're trying to get silver, you can't get silver, oil prices are going up, gold prices are going up, the Middle East is in an all-out crazy war. What happens at that point to the gold and silver market, like when you can't even get silver and gold because of all the chaos?
Well, we saw what happened briefly in 2020, right? There was these lockdowns, and our genius politicians decided to save the world with their bravery and amazingness, and we thank them so much for their wisdom. Stop the economy, and people were freaking out, and people ran to gold and to silver,
Right.
and
You couldn't order it
I
either.
what?
You couldn't
Yeah,
order it too, I remember, for a while.
you couldn't, but what you could do is you could lock in a price, and then a month or two later, it would be delivered. Because
Oh.
we knew that these genius lockdowns, they would solve everything very quickly, and then everything would go back to normal. Which it took a few years, but but it happened.
Uh,
But when we're talking about Iran bombing the oil ports of its neighbors and its other Arab countries, then we're talking about something different and a Franz Ferdinand moment where we're going into several years of World War. which I don't think the dollar can withstand. So you could enter a world where the dollar is just not going to work, and you're going to have to trade silver coins or gold coins for what you need. And again, I'm not saying this is necessarily going to happen in the next few weeks. I'm saying
Right.
in the world that we are in, it's plausible enough that you want your stacks with you in case this happens, because you won't be able to get them after something like that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think their game plan, Rafi, would be to, let's say the US dollar does take a massive hit and people are losing trust left, right, and center, and they're fleeing the dollar, bank runs and all. Do you think they'll just introduce a digital CBDC and then that way people won't run to their assets or silver or gold and boom, they'll just start a new digital dollar? What do you think about that?
They'll try, but
Right.
it's not going to do anything because what's a new digital dollar going to be based on? It's going to be based on the
On
old
debt.
dollar,
Yeah.
because you have to
Yeah.
you have to base the new price array on the previous price array. It's like for example, when you have a hyperinflating currency and they lop off six zeros, or whatever third world country it is, and they say, "Oh, this is the new Zimbabwe dollar." Well, it just hyperinflates again because it's qualitatively, economically speaking, the same thing.
Right.
So a digital dollar, a CBDC dollar, would be the same thing as today's digital dollar, would just be more trackable. So why would people accept that?
Yeah.
It's it,
Yeah, you're right.
the question is, will they try? Yeah, they'll try. Will it stabilize anything? No,
No.
because when you have a collapsing tower, building another floor on top of it is not going to stabilize it.
Right. Yeah, it's still gonna collapse. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely crazy. Before you go, Rafi, I want to tell everyone where you can connect with you. I'm gonna put your links in the description below. But yeah, share your social media.
Yeah, so my YouTube is Rafi Farber. If you've been watching the Arcadia Economics channel, where I have a silver report every week, so that's moving to my channel. So it'll be there every Friday morning if you were a fan of that. And my Twitter is Rafi Farber, and I've been trying to tweet less lately because I'm in a war zone and it's kind of hot in here. And when you have like access to you can write any thought that's in your head in like 5 seconds and tell everybody, like you have this like instinct to do it, and I'm trying not to do that, so
Yeah,
I'm being a
yeah.
little bit less active there. My Patreon, if you are interested in a religious angle on money markets and economics, and the whole Judeo-Christian type of angle on stuff. So my Patreon is patreon.com/endgameinvestor, and I charge very, very little for that because I just want to teach, just $3 a month. And my the most important one is my Substack. That's my main business. Endgame Investor at Substack. 3-4 times a week, I give you an update on the money markets and the banks and the Federal Reserve and where we are in terms of the final financial crisis, how close we are, and if you want a front row ticket to the end of the monetary world, that's what you want to check out.
Awesome. Well, yeah, it's such a huge pleasure, Rafi, as always, you coming down to Wall Street Silver. I'll put the links in the description below for anyone to connect and follow with Rafi. But yeah, again, such a huge pleasure and would love to have you back on Wall Street Silver as the markets develop.
Definitely plan on coming back.
Awesome. Talk to you soon, Rafi.
You too.